Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier and this is Ship Updates. Now this week we're still in the middle of the anniversary sale, but we do have, some updates, and this was stuff that probably should have been in last week, but I didn't see it in time to include it in the video, so I'm putting it in this week. Now of course the Caterpillar, the Herald, and the 85X are slated to be in 2.6, which is a patch that hopefully we will be seeing at least in everybody's hands by December the 8th, according to the production schedule, though that date, of course, is subject to change. Now, apart from that, a lot of the stuff that we've been seeing is really, it's centered around the ships in the sale, and a lot of it, therefore, isn't really new information. And so a lot of the stuff that we're kind of waiting for, we still don't know about yet. Now, the one thing that did stand out about the ships in 2.6 is that the Dragonfly is not in there. Now, of course, the Dragonfly, along with the Caterpillar, were supposed to be included in 3.0, but it looks like the Caterpillar got moved up, but the Dragonfly is, as far as I've seen, conspicuously absent from those from that video that said the ships of 2.6. So I'm going to assume that they're holding on to the Dragonfly for now. I'm going to assume that they're holding on to it for 3.0 for Planet side. So, because they specifically don't mention it, I just can't really say it. So I'm just going to err on the side of caution and say 3.0 release date TBD. Now, beyond that, with the Herald coming in 2.6, there was another piece of information going all the way back to August during Gamescom. When they were showing the presentation at Gamescom, they announced that there was going to be hacking booths in 2.6. Now, we really haven't heard any mention of that since that presentation all the way back in August. So whether or not the Herald is going to have anything Herald-like to do once it comes in 2.6, hopefully, but that is not yet something that is known. Now, I mean, at the very least, entry level, if they could let you kind of fly up to the signal stations and kind of deactivate them, but since you're doing it remotely, it takes a little bit more time, or allow you to fly close to Korea and then hack the interface there, hack the console there from a distance, but once again, takes more time to do. That would be something very interesting to see, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the Herald is going to get in 2.6. Even though we do have the new production schedule up, I couldn't find a specific mention of it, but it could be kind of folded into missions or something like that. So just because it isn't there doesn't mean it's not going to be in the patch. It just might mean that its description and its content is folded into a larger topic, and they're just not breaking it down into enough fine detail for us to see it. So hopefully the Herald will have something to do in terms of hacking in 2.6, but we really don't have solid information on that yet. Now, this week, of course, we got the Prowler Q&As. Now, at the time of this recording, only part 1 is up. I'm still waiting to see part 2. So what I'm going to do is, much like with the Polaris, I'm going to abridge the answers, the questions and the answers to this Q&A to kind of get down to what I think is the core of what CIG is trying to say with this Q&A. So hopefully to give you a better idea of what kind of ship to expect in the case that you decide to invest in a Prowler. So let's get started. So question 1, will the Prowler's grav levs allow it to act similar to the Dragonfly, turning it into a ground vehicle of sorts? I think what they're trying to say with the answer here is that the grav levs are going to operate in a similar way, but in terms of an application. So let's say, like, if you're flying in, you may not want to be seen either on radar or visually. So these grav levs would help you kind of get down low and skirt along the ground, so that way you could deliver troops to the most advantageous position and hopefully lessen the chance that you'll even be spotted visually. So I think that's what they're trying to get at, and they kind of say that it'll give you slightly better quote-unquote traction when maneuvering in free space or in the atmosphere. So control, I think, is what they're trying to say with this. All right, question 2. The Prowler in lore is described as having an amazing and unrivaled stealth capabilities. Can we expect the reproduction from Asperia to be just as good? Does the reproduction differ performance-wise in any way? Now, there aren't really any basic values for stealth ships yet. You know, like the Ghost has a stealth value of 5, the Saber has 7, and the Prowler has 10. You know, there isn't any real hard numbers to do any kind of comparison. So I think the spirit of what they're trying to say here is that it is going to live up to the reputation, and where Asperia has taken an old ship, they have modernized it somewhat, so it should still live up to your hopes, but you know, it's not going to be the greatest thing in the world. It's not going to be overpowered. It's going to be something that's reasonable, but something that lives up, hopefully, to your expectations. Why? All right, question 3. Why would someone buy the Prowler over a Redeemer or a Hoplite? So, once again, this kind of comes back to the Gravlev platings, and whereas like the Redeemer or the Hoplite might be kind of coming in and landing normally and letting the troops out, this is more for kind of putting the troops, you know, kind of getting them in quietly and using the Gravlevs maybe to maneuver around on the ground and find the most advantageous position to drop your troops off, whether it be for protection or just for your enemy to once again not see them being dropped off, so that they can perhaps be in a flanking position. So let's say you do have a Redeemer or a Hoplite coming in with a bunch of troops. Maybe the Prowler can come in on the side and drop another bunch of troops, so your enemy might be aware of these guys, say, coming from the north, but they may not know that they have a second force closing in on them from the east or from the south, and so that can be advantageous to you. So it seems like it's going to be more of a tactical application rather than a practical one. But of course, this will carry more troops than the Redeemer or the Hoplite as well, as far as I've seen. All right, question 4. The sales page says the Prowler is fast. How will it be compared to other ships such as the Vanguard, the Redeemer, or the Cutlass? So the Prowler is basically going to be, it seems that they're saying it's going to be a lower acceleration than any one of those ships, but it's going to have a higher SCM top speed. But the reason why that acceleration is slow is because of the stealth factor. They want you to keep your sig low, but if stealth isn't required for the situation, you can boost and hit a top speed. Just watch out how much fuel you burn while you're doing it. All right, question 5. Will the Prowler have enough modularity for other roles, or is it solely used for dropping and boarding? So I think the subtext there is, can I use it to smuggle? So like every other ship in Star Citizen, you're going to be able to change your power plant, your engines, your weapons, blah, 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 blah. But if you're hoping to add a cargo module to it or anything like that, I mean, it is what it is. It's a drop ship, so I don't see them kind of doing that. It seems like it's a very specialized vessel, and so I think it's pretty much what you see is what you get. You'll be able to change the basic components around, maybe do something that way, but as for, you know, can I take out the troop module and put in a, you know, a cargo module or a scanning module? No, I don't see that as, and pretty much that's what the text says too. I don't think that that's going to happen. Question 6. What type of travel range will the Prowler be capable of? Short range. It's meant to operate from a fleet or operate from a close by base and drop off troops, pick them up again, that sort of thing. It's not meant to go on long range patrols. Question 7. Will the Prowler have room racks to store extra weapons, ammo, explosives for the boarders? It's a troop ship. Yeah, it stands to reason that that would be a feature on the ship. All right, question 8. How powerful are the scanners sensors on the Prowler? Can the top weapons turret be replaced with a scanning array similar to the Vanguard Sentinel, Cutlass Red, or Hornet Tracker? Short answer for the scanning array, no. It's basically, it's built out and piped for weapons, not for scanners and data. As for scanning, probably better off going with a Terrapin rather than this ship. It's probably going to have the standard scanning array that you would have on normal ships that aren't specialized to that role, so probably nothing to write home about. Question 9. Can players use weapons like the sniper rifle while the personal doors are the personal doors are open? Yeah, okay. While the personal doors are open. So basically, can you use it as a flying sniping platform? Yes, you can. Question 10. Using the back ramp, is it possible to fit a dragonfly inside of the prowler? Answer, don't bet on it. Probably not. Okay, so at this point, I kind of stopped the recording there, and I kind of went, all right, now let's wait for part 2 to come out, but I don't think we're going to be seeing it anytime soon. I still got to render this and upload it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off on the second Q&A until Monday, but of course Monday is technically the last day probably of the sale, so by then it would be too late. So I'm going to close with simply saying that there's a lot of ships that you can get in Star Citizen that I think are overall have better potential for you to earn money with, and overall provide a better foundation springing into the time when actually these ships will actually count for something. It's not a question of just respawn it, but when you can actually make money with them. And so I think there's a lot better buys out there than the Prowler, which I think it'll be an interesting ship, and I'm certain that there's going to be some interesting uses for it. It's just overall, would I build would I consider it a must-have ship? Absolutely not. It's going to be a ship that if I get it, I'm going to buy it for whatever in the PU. I'm not going to invest in it here at this sale. And in fact, I pretty much got my fleet set up just the way I want it, with all the ships I think I need, and with some decent gaps in there, so that there's still some goals and still some things to be achieved in the Star Citizen universe when the time comes. So overall, I would hold off on the Prowler. I would look at other ships and try to set yourself up for success rather than just kind of buying a ship for style points. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the Prowler, and over the week on the anniversary sale. Still looking forward to getting our hands on 2.6 and hopefully finally being able to break out the Caterpillar and fly it around and show it off a little bit. But once again, subject to CIG schedule. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and thanks for watching.
Quantum travel initiated.